One. Good afternoon, everybody. Bobby Cleveland, Oklahoma Corrections Professionals, and we're ready to hit it off again. And we're happy you guys to join us. And we also have our representative, JJ Humphreys. JJ, how in the world are you today?
Bob, I'm awesome today. I'm doing really, really well. Back in the district, back at the house. And Bob, I'm just happy we're back on. Took a long time to get here. And I think we need to just lay it out to everyone who is watching and everyone who will watch this. Why it is that we've been off for so long and what's actually going on. Bob, in such a way, let's lay it out to the people in such a way that, let's let them decide what's going on. And again, let's be transparent. Bob, before we couldn't talk as transparently as we could talk today. And so, Bob, I think it's important that people know. You stop me if I'm wrong, or you tell me what you think. But the Director Harp with the Department of Corrections, when he came in, first rattle out of the box, said he was not going to have anything to do with you. Is that correct?
With OCP.
Yes.
He was not going to have anything to do with OCP. He didn't like unions, and I don't have nothing to do with him. We want to get rid of them.
Right. And Bob, is OCP a union?
No, it's not. It's association. And I explained to him that we were an association, we're not a union. We advocate for the employees. His response back was, they don't need nobody to do that. I can do that. They can come and see me anytime.
So Bob, basically he's saying that his door's open, and if they fire anybody, they could come and talk to him and they could work out those issues and things like that. They don't need you to represent them, correct?
Right. They don't want to be transparent. Bottom line is they do not wish to be transparent, and we're calling things out on them. That's going on, and let's just go in and explain the things that's happened that got us to where we're at today, and what's happening with OCP is back now better than ever. But let's look at what's transpired. What was the first thing that happened when we got cut off?
Well, Bob, there's so many things that he's done and cutting off. But the biggest thing I think people need to be aware of is, they came to my office. They came and said, hey, we'll work with you, but we're not going to work with Cleveland. And, and basically give me an ultimatum to kick OCP to the curb, kick you to the curb in order to work with them. And I refused to do that. And Bob, you know what? Just so people understand, I hear a lot of people, we can't come forward, or they're going to be after us, and you don't know what it's like. Bob, we do know what it's like for them to come after us. I mean, they've come after you. They've come after me. They've tried to go after, they're not trying to, any bills I've got, they went to leadership to make it where I can't get bills, in committee. They're not using me. So guess what? They hurt themselves when they do that, because we're not getting any correctional bills passed. What do? They've done nothing. And before, we were getting a lot of stuff being used.
Well, they don't want any of our correctional bills to pass. That way they can say, well, they're not doing anything, but they're up there advocating against our bills. But tell me this, did they say anything about, when they met you that day in there, did they say anything about any other member?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They basically said they could go around and get Scott. Well, if you're not going to do it, we can always go to Scott. Here's what's funny. I've heard them laugh about Scott Everson, make fun of him behind his back. Now, the difference between them and me, they make fun of him behind his back and then they go use him. Me, I make fun of him in front of his face and don't use him, because I've just, I've tried to have a relationship, but again, I have no use for what I've seen. And Bob, let's lay it out. What we're talking about, what we've seen, is that Harp has tried to use Everson. So when we wouldn't work with him, when I wouldn't work with him, he did not want to work with you. He did not want to have anything to do with OCP. He was clear, but he's fine to go around there and say, I'll work with OCP through Scott Everson. Now, it's funny, he won't work with OCP. OCP is a union, but he'll go meet with Scott Everson. Now, why is that? Why do you think that is, Bob?
I think it's because he'll meet with him because he wants to get another job and work with him and get promoted.
Well, and again, he's being used.
And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and Harp is using him, is what my opinion, and we're going to lay out why we have this opinion. We're not having an opinion based on no fact. So one of the facts are, Bob, that early on, right after that meeting, and when they asked to have a meeting with Everson sends one of the people that's involved in OCP a text, if I'm not mistaken, that it reads something like this: "Don't tell Bobby Cleveland," or it says that Director Harp said, Director Harp said, "Don't tell Bobby Cleveland we're having a meeting with Director Harp." Okay, why would Scott Everson, have Director Harp telling him to go against you? So here you are, director, and he's saying, "Oh, hey, president of OCP, you follow my instructions. You don't have anything to do with Bobby Cleveland. And y'all come over here and let me tell you, y'all come over here and we'll have us a meeting." Now, the question is, and when I was FOP vice president, we met with the director many times. We met with the assistant director, all kinds of stuff. Now, here's the deal, but we would come back and we would report, okay, here's what our meeting resulted in. We would also accomplish stuff. We would also be able to say, here's what we're trying to get done.
We know they've had 2 meetings that we know of, but we don't know how many other meetings they've had. They made the comments like they've had a number of meetings, but we don't know. But we just know of 2 meetings they had, and then that's it.
But Bob, we know that they've made comments. So if they've only had 2 meetings, they've made it seem like they've had more meetings. They made it seem like they have a direct line to Director Harp. So now, is that true or not true? I can't tell you, but I can tell you that's what they portrayed, is that they've had a direct line. And then let's look at what's been the result of these meetings. Have they come out and said, hey, we're working on better conditions. We're working on getting more officers. We're working on getting staff beds. We're working on getting raises. We're working on, cleanliness. What issues have they? Because I know of not one thing that they've come and reported back to the membership. I don't know of one time they've reported to the membership. All they said,
they never reported anything in any of our meetings or any of our discussions. They never reported anything they've done except that, boy, we're buddies with Harp. We're having meetings. He works with us, and he won't work with you.
Absolutely, we got a direct line. Look at us. We got a direct line to Harp, and Harp won't talk to Bobby. Harp ain't talking to JJ, but we have a direct line, so that makes us better. Well, great. What are you doing with your direct line? So let's see. Let me see what they've done, and let the people decide, Bob. Y'all decide what's being done. So we're having OCP live, and man, we're going and we're getting 2,000 people on every time we're turning on. Bob, we started again because they shut us down for a minute. We started back up. We were getting 1,000. We went 1,200. We went 1,500. We're up to 2,000. We're getting great positive feedback. Now, if everything's negative, if what we were doing was negative, why are more people watching? And why is all the feedback pretty positive? Now, you have always a few. And guess what the negative feedback was coming from? It was coming from that Everson group. That's the negative. And again, so one of the things that group is saying about, especially about me and a little bit about you, Bob, is they say I'm unprofessional. Now, Bob, I know people find that hard to believe, but I'll cop to it, okay? I will tell you I'm a little unprofessional. Singing the song about Harp shooting the floor probably is a little unprofessional. I will get that. I get that. But let me ask you this, Bob. Is it professional to never have a meeting announced? Is it professional to go as long as they did without having an election in the membership?
We did nothing at all to improve anything during his over 3 years, which is supposed to be 2, over 3 years, there was nothing happening because we didn't have many meetings. We didn't work, and the board kept quitting. So all the people on the board has quit except for one person, and that person quit.
And the deal is, Bob,
but they set the meeting up. They set the meeting up, and then they go and quit.
Right
now, they're saying that we did something wrong. But are they out to help the members, or are they just out to help themselves to help us go out of business?
Well, but here's the thing, Bob. Again, when you take that position, you're supposed to announce. Bob, when I was FOP, what we did, we set a meeting same time every month. We had monthly meeting. We weren't required to have monthly meeting. We just did. We did it on the same day, with a third Thursday. We had it at the same building. Everybody knew. Everybody could come. We would meet, and we'd go down the road to the Harley Davidson place, and they served quail on whatever night it was, and we would eat big beta quail, and we'd have a good time. Every month we had a meeting, and we carried out business, and we'd announce that. We'd have an agenda every month. Now, have they put out a regular meeting? Have they put out even a regular quarter meeting? Do they have the same place? Do they put out an agenda? Do they get out and tell people, here's what we're working on? I know of nothing they've worked on, and I've been pretty involved, Bob. I know of zero in 3 years, zero that he's worked. Claims he come to the Capitol. I spend a little bit of time at the Capitol. If he'd been at the Capitol, I think I would have heard it. I've not heard of him coming to the Capitol, period. I know of nothing they've worked on. So, Bob, is it professional to set up here? You know, one of the meetings I went to, Bob, and I mean, me and him both got out of hand. If he wants to call me unprofessional, is it professional of him to be acting like he's going to whoop my ass and coming over the table like he's going to whoop my ass? Which is, by the way, if anybody has been trained, you come over the table, I grab you by the collar and throw you on the floor. Easiest. You know what I'm saying? It's unprofessional. You ought to know that with your training. But here's the thing. The thing about it is he acts more unprofessional than anybody I've ever met, even as unprofessional as me. And so for him to accuse me, people who live in glass huts ought not to throw stone. But here's the thing, Bob. I can tell you what I've done. Me and you have gotten raises, biggest raises ever in state history. As far as I know, the biggest raise for an agency ever in state history. We got a $2 raise before that. We got 400 people who were left off added back on that raise. It was our work that got Probation Pro their raise. These are double raises. You know what I'm saying? It ain't one raise, man. We've got multiple raises. We got the captains through our work, and we had to agree that we're going to lay over a bill so that they would go. And DLC has admitted that is true, that we got that bill done. Guess what? We've worked on stab vests. We've worked on uniforms. That uniform we put in a bill. We set that bill aside to let them get the uniforms. Bob, we can go down the list of all the stuff and everything that we've worked on. We've come out and said, I passed a whistleblower. Guess where that started? It started right here in DLC. I had Stan Ward before he died write that up for us. We passed it out of the House. We got it through the committee. Senate wouldn't hear it. But guess what? We're working on that. We'll continue to work on that. This is the kind of stuff that we're working on. Letting legislators come in. Guess what? I will guarantee you DLC, and I'll hold them. I will guarantee you they met with our leadership to kill that stuff. It doesn't come through my committee. That's what we're running into. And again, it's because Scott Evison is not working with us. He's working with them. And they're working against us, the membership, the employees.
Let's talk about that Channel 4 interview that Matt Frisbee had.
Right. Well, Bob, here's the deal. Matt Frisbee gets on Channel 4 to talk about how many cases that they're winning and the fact that DLC will fire people, show up with no evidence, with no testimony, with no witnesses, and just say, Judge, you just need to follow it because we say so. And they're getting their hiney kicked pretty regularly. We're getting that. We're winning, and we're winning big. But here's the deal, Bob. They keep appealing them. They appeal all these cases. And Bob, they're trying to use money to break OCP. They're trying to use money to break the employees.
JJ, I want to change it just a little bit. Yesterday, Matt Frisbee had a case. He brings before the board. This girl had a pizza pie that she got fired because
pizza, wasn't it?
And they give her a piece of pizza. And so something that should have not took very long, maybe 45 minutes, it went 3 hours. So what they're trying to do, and I heard some members saying, well, where's all the money going? Well, it's very simple. It's costing us 3 times the amount of money the way they're doing business now because they're trying to break OCP. That's their goal, bankrupt us.
Right. Yeah, and that's pretty obvious.
If it took 3 hours to handle a little old case like that, they didn't even bring a witness.
Bob, and here's the deal. One of the last cases that the court resolved, they wrote in italicized, bold letters saying, put this person back to work, because guess what? DOC is not putting people back to work after they lose in their own setup court. Harp set that up. Don't forget that Harp was responsible for destroying merit protection. He'll take full credit for it. I've heard him brag about it. Okay, so he's responsible for destroying what protected employees, setting up this court. But what he didn't know is OMES actually went out and got some decent judges, and these judges are expecting them to actually produce some kind of evidence, and they're producing nothing, and the judges are awarding OCP the win all the time. But instead of going, okay, we lost in court, they're going, nope, we're going to appeal it. Nope, we're going to appeal it again. We're going to appeal it to district court. Why?
Now we went through all that.
Don't cost them a dime. Don't cost them nothing.
We went through all of that. Channel 4 wanted to know what's going on with all of these lawsuits because they got all these lawsuits going on for the teachers. We had the big lawsuit for the teachers, and we actually won that. It went 3 years. Mm-hmm. It was very costly. But we won. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what OCP is all about. We won. We beat them at their own game. Now, the TV station wanted to know what's going on, why they keep appealing and everything. Well, Matt got on there and explained to them, what's going on, why they appeal. And so it would be a really great advertisement for OCP. So Matt said to Scott Evanson, the president at the time, hey, can we put this on OCP page? Can we put this out there? Because this is good for the members to know what we're doing. You know what? Wouldn't do it. Why do you think he wouldn't do it?
Why? You know why? Because it'd make Harp look bad.
Yeah.
That's why. And here's the deal. Why would you not put one of the biggest things that you're accomplishing and what you're doing for your employees? Why in the world would you not put that out? And again, you as one person should not have the authority to tell the entire membership, well, I'll decide what y'all need to see and what. Be transparent. It is. Let them decide whether it's good or bad. Just like OCP.
But we're at the point where on both things you're talking about, it's you make your own decision. We're just telling you what's happened, what's
Absolutely.
real, what's
we're being tricked. Bob,
there's no lying. There's lying. There's no.
Hey, Bob, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to verify everything we're saying. And again, the thing about it is we're getting out there. We're telling what's actually going on. And here's the deal. Does anybody have to question whether they pulled OCP off? When we were up to 2,000 views, Scott decides that we're being too unprofessional. Now we're up to 2,000 views. And here's what's funny, Bob.
Without even a vote of the board, which they didn't have a board because nobody wants to work with him.
But here's what's funny, Bob. Was membership going up or down when we had that 2,000 views?
I'm still with Virgil.
Bob,
going up.
One other.
You got to turn that phone off, Bob. Come on.
Hey, I'll call you back. That's an important call.
But here's the deal, Bob. Was membership going up or down?
Going up.
So here's the deal. We're getting 2,000 views going up every day, or every time we did it. Every time we were doing it, we kept growing and we kept growing. And our membership was going up significantly. And Scott Everson says, that's bad. Now, the only person getting harmed out of that, we were hammering on the Department of Corrections pretty hard, because guess what, Bob? Is there things that we need to and again, I'm going to say that sometimes I get a little unprofessional. I'll give people that. I get a little radical. But at the end of the day, should we get radical when somebody shoots their floor and nothing happened to them, but somebody eats a piece of pizza and they're fired? Somebody that has a massive amount of work, overworked because they're shorthanded, and somebody ODs and they're trying to get help, and the warden's telling them, no, you need to go back and do this. No, you go back. And then when they get in there, the guy's dead, and an employee of 30 years gets fired because of that. Yet we can shoot our floor, we can leave guns in our car and have inmates have access to it. And guess what? No repercussions on that. That's the stuff that we got to bring out. We got to bring out the fact that he got a $90,000 raise, and it was illegal. I've looked in the law. There is no law that allows you to transfer from one director's position to the next director. And again, Bob, it wasn't me look it up. I had lawyers look it up. I had our attorney staff.
Well, JJ, but we have been bringing out how many deaths there's been.
Stabbings, rapes.
We've got more than we've
extortion
had that I've been around. But how many stabbings have we had just say the last 10 days?
Bob, I'd say the last 5 days, since Monday when I came up and came to the Capitol. Since Monday, we had a stabbing at Lawton, and I haven't been able to confirm whether it's one or two. I've not been able to confirm at the one at Lawton whether there was a death with that. Now, there is a media out, and I need to go look at that media so I can confirm that.
There was a death.
Yeah. So then we have a death at Hinton and a stabbing. Now, here's what's funny, Bob. In a Hinton stabbing, I'm pretty certain that same inmate had been in a fight right before that and should have been off that yard. I'm doing some research on that. Should have been off that yard, and yet here he is on the yard and he kills somebody. That's pretty bad stuff. I think there was a stabbing at Allen Gamble. There is, reportedly, and I'm getting a lot of calls, E. coli in the water at Dick Connors. Now, some of that's the city's fault, but here's the deal. What has DOC done to change that city water? We just had a $1.9 billion ARPA funds. Did they go back and say, we need some of those funds to fix these problems? Probably not. Did they come to me, chairman of corrections, and ask for that? Probably not. They didn't get none. What about, I'm on the budget committee. Did they come to me? They're not doing anything to change that. So you got E. coli reported in their water, no electricity. Bob, let's go into the fact that they got bed bugs reported at Lark. While we're speaking of Lark, here we're talking in the last 5-6 days since Monday. Here we are at Friday, so we're talking 5 days. Guess what? They walked off the warden, a deputy warden at Lark, under some massive questionable things. If we looked at, I'm getting a report that they'll probably lose a couple of more. At least one warden I'm hearing may resign just because of the colossal mess.
But this deputy warden they fired was their girl. She'd been around there had numbers of jobs, secretary for the director, secretary for the warden. She'd done a lot of things. And
well, I'm trying to
she's
study.
Pretty good myself.
Well, I'm trying to study if she's kin to Harp. I've got people calling me saying she's kin to Harp. I don't know if she is or not. But man, a lot of questionable things going on around that person. Bob, a couple of weeks ago, we'd see Bragg's gone because the word is that he refused to fire somebody. They turn around and fire the brand new warden at Mabel Bassett. You know what I'm saying? You can't make all of this up. You can't, Bob, 5 days, that's five, the Bragg's and Mabel Bassett before 5. But most of this stuff we're talking about is in 5 days.
But
Bob,
what we're talking about, JJ, is reality. The things that happen in reality. That's what we're talking
Bob,
about. Which they did not want. Hart did not want people to know about anything. That's why he doesn't like it. He doesn't like OCP. He doesn't. He said himself, "I don't need you. I don't need people looking over my back, telling me how I need to do things."
No, he don't want anybody reporting the truth. Bob, they're acting like we're unprofessional. Part of being the unprofessional they're talking about is actually calling stuff out. Now, I meant me singing a song about him shooting the floor, which I will say was funny as crap. I did do a good job of writing that song, by the way. But here's the deal. Is that professional? No. But let me ask you this, Director Harp, if you're watching, is it professional for you to get up in front of an academy and call me and Bob assholes? I'd say a little unprofessional. Is it professional of you to get on a video with your entire DOC staff and tell them that I never promoted, which is a lie? Is it professional for you to share my employment information, which is supposed to be kept confidential, and you violated that confidentiality when it's your job to keep that? Is that professional? Is it professional for you to get on there and lie and say I never promoted, when if you go from correctional officer to probation officer, guess what? Anybody with half a brain would know that's a promotion. But here's the deal, Bob. They wanted to say the fact that I promoted from cadet, and they come back and said this, I was told, cadet to officer wasn't a promotion. How many of you guys go from cadet to officer to sergeant think that's a promotion? It is a promotion. Guess what? That says you're doing a good job. I went from officer 1, officer 2 to officer 3. And Bob, the reason I didn't promote, my wife was a school teacher making really good money. I had cattle. I'm making good money. Why would I want to put in for a job where I might get a $200 raise when I'm making money on cattle, land, got my wife there? Guess what? I topped out and I didn't put in for anything else. I didn't want anything else. I was where I wanted to be. I could still take care of my cattle. I was making money on all that. So again, for them to make it out like I'm unprofessional in some way because I didn't promote past officer 3, and like it's a disgrace. They made it out like if you're just a probation officer 3, then you're a scumbag. Well, guess what? They got a lot of officer 3s out there. I guess all the officers, hey, probation pro, if you're just a probation pro officer, your director thinks you're just an idiot and you can't promote any higher than that. That's what they said about me.
Well, let's get back to our what we started out in. And letting people
Bob,
decide.
I get off the track. I get a little radical.
Let the people decide. We don't want to think for you. You decide for yourself.
Absolutely.
Do you want this is a question I'm going to ask you, membership. Do you want OCP to be directed every move they make by Director Harp? Is that the kind of association you're looking for? And sometimes it's not easy to say these things because but it's the truth. It's what's happening. It's in reality of what's happening at DOC. Now I'm telling you, I don't see how much longer the governor can continue with this fiasco they have at the prison.
Bob, he's been. I was thinking the other day. I've got about 35 years of correctional experience. Okay, and I was trying to think back. There was a guy that was right before me, a guy named Meacham, a little bit before me, before I started. But I know a lot of the older hands that were under him, and they talked about how unprofessional. I can guarantee you there has never been anybody as bad as Harp since I've been in there. I've seen them all. There were some pretty squirrely ones, but you got to go back to Meacham Day. And I really think Meacham probably at least had more experience. At least he was pretty liberal in his thinking, but he at least knew about it, But here's the deal. This guy is a train wreck. This guy, and I'm not just saying, I'm not trying to be unprofessional. And people say, well, JJ, why would you make such a statement? Bob, did you read the article that the Daily Oklahoma put out, how many deaths we've had?
But guys, it's a whole lot different than the number they put out.
Bob, did you see where I got a tape recording of their person who, now that they have as their media spokesperson, their media officer, public officer. Well, guess what? They fired Josh Ward, great guy, for no reason, walked in and fired him, hired this person, by the way, that is the was the budget chairman. Senators, that's pretty questionable.
You see how that turned out for him?
Yeah, look at that. But here's the deal. I got a tape of her interviewing on a Tulsa radio station where she says, well, we have to manipulate, I think is the word, the numbers because the legislature won't fund us if we don't manipulate numbers. Now, let me tell you what that means. We lie about the numbers so that we can get money. That's what that says.
Let me ask you a question, JJ. They say they're 1 officer to 15 inmates.
Yeah.
Now, I got a question, and I'm going to ask this to the members. Is all the prisons, the prison you're at, do you have 1 officer every 15 inmates?
Bob, I got...
throughout. They don't have it. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bob. I asked our leadership. Now, here's what's funny. They can go and get subpoenas on Ryan Walters and go on a fish hunt over there. But I asked for subpoenas multiple times. And so here's what I'm asking. I'm asking for rosters. I wanted rosters to get those specific numbers. So, again, they wouldn't let me have a subpoena. DOC would not even answer. Here's the deal. An unelected bureaucrat, Harp, has the audacity not to even answer. When I ride over there, halftime, he won't even answer the questions. But I went through, and I suspect that our leadership went over and said, hey, you're going to have to give something. So they write me a letter back and say, we won't let you have it, but we'll let you come over here and view it. So they're saying, well, it's confidential. Well, if it's confidential, how can I go over there and look at it? You know what I'm saying? That makes absolutely no sense. Then they come back and say, well, you leaked out these incident reports on this shower. Well, Bob, I didn't get that incident reports from them, so I didn't leak out nothing. But the bottom line is they say the shower incident was just them transferring people from one cell to the other. Are they now admitting that there are incident reports that say, no, it was done for punishment, that they were stuck in there? So they can't have their cake and eat it too, Bob.
No, JJ, they're saying that they didn't do all that, but they're not going to do it anymore.
Right, but here's the deal, Bob. You can't go over and get this stuff and go through it and look at it. So I went around another way to get my stuff. So I'm sitting on right now, and in fact, probably come out next week with an article that says, here's this prison, here's how many people they got, and here's a couple of weeks of these rosters that I now have that will show you it's more like 1 to 170 in that certain place, 1 to 170. According to what day you get, maybe 1 to 130, 1 to 170, nowhere close to 115.
Well, I've heard it's 230, 260.
I got a person called me the other day, said one officer on a pod of 4 and each pod had 150. I don't know whether that's true. I said, listen, I'm not saying it's true or untrue, but if I don't have something to prove it, then I can't go with it. I got to have verification. And here's what's funny. DOC, I'm at a meeting with families, a large meeting with families who's telling stories of their loved ones. And I said, listen, guys, I believe every one of y'all, but if you don't have verification, we got to go forward and verify everything. And Bob, you know that. I always, it didn't happen if we can't verify. It didn't happen. We're getting reports on this deputy warden being walked off. And the first thing I say, hey, I don't know who's in that house. I don't know if the person OD'd. I don't know what the relationship is. I don't know if she had an affair with an inmate. I don't know all this. That's all the stuff I'm getting. But let's verify. We can't go out and say it happened unless we verify. Those are the reports we're getting. I'm telling people that's what the reports. But again, they may or may not be true. We don't know. We verify.
All I know is that she had a very good personality. She was secretary of a number of people. I've talked to her a number of times, and she was far better than a lot of people I know out there. They have a.
Bob,
I don't know
and
what.
that's,
I don't
again,
know
we're
why
not-
they went in there and walked her out. I don't know.
we don't know.
There's no telling
And-
what they're going to say it was. But
True. And again, I will tell you this: just because DOC walks you off, I don't necessarily think I want to hear what's her side, what's the report. We're hearing all these rumors. That's what they are.
But that's what we're doing. We're bringing it up to the people so they know what's going on in the other prisons. They're getting what we're saying. And so that's what they don't want us to do, JJ. That's not what the
and we're asking
everything. Also, not only that, he will not give us the password so we can go on our regular OCP page and talk. He won't give us the password to these.
Well, Bob, here's what he's trying to say now. He's trying to say under Title 18 that we have an illegal board. Okay, so let's stop there right here. How many of y'all out there know what Title 18 is? How many of y'all ever looked up Title 18? Go slide out there and pull it up. You can go to the internet, pull up Title 18, pull that up. Guess what? You're going to see 1,000 pages. You're going to see, it's like reading DOC policy, okay? So if you've ever looked at the entire DOC policy, it's overwhelming. So you got to go ask what specific part of that. So when he says, I'm not giving y'all this because Title 18, because you're illegal. You're an illegal. Boy, that sounds great. Illegal, Scott. But here's the deal. Tell me what section, okay? Tell me what section you're in. Now, here's the deal, Scott. We want to follow the law. Unlike you, we want to follow the law. So if you tell us what section you're talking about, and if we're doing something wrong, we will correct that, because here's the deal. We don't want to do something wrong. We want to be right all the time.
We want to be right for our members. We don't want to try to hurt
Bob,
the membership, which is what's happening now.
They want to arrest me all the time. They're trying. I've got a bondsman already hired. Guess what? If I don't do it right, I'm in trouble. So guess what? We want to do it right. We want to do it right. We strive to do what's right. And if he's got something that he says is wrong, trot it out here, big boy. Put it on, because guess what? We want the membership to see. You need to put it on. You're welcome to come on here, get that on there, and show the membership what we did is illegal. That's what you should do. But did you go put that out on anything? Did you put that out on the webpage or anywhere else? No, you just say they're illegal and I'm not giving and I'm going to withhold this, because guess what? Your goal is not to do what's right for the membership. Your goal is to destroy OCP. So you're going to try to make it where we can't get any of the information. That's okay. We're going to beat you on that. That's not a problem. But if you got something legitimately, do you want to fix it, or do you want to try to make us have to go to court? Are you trying to make the membership spend money trying to go to court? Are you trying to destroy the membership? Because anybody that's got a half a brain and anybody that's worth anything would want to fix it. So again, Scott, try to destroy it or try to fix it. Which one are you going to do? What have you done the last 3 years? What have you done to be positive for this group? You've went over, you've met with Hart. What's been the result of that? Have you shared it with nobody? Nobody. Have you taken down, when we were doing great, take down the live where we're informing people? Yes, you have. For what reason? Because we're unprofessional. Unprofessional to who? Unprofessional in what way? And again, have you had meetings? No. Have you shared with anybody? No. What have you accomplished? You lie about coming to the Capitol. You lie about this being illegal. You lie about your relationship with Harp. Guess what? You're not truthful. You're not honest. And that's what I believe, Bob. I'm laying out my heart to everybody. And again, if he says I'm a liar, I can take that. Fine. Let's document that, Scott. You bring out the documentation that what we're saying. When I say there's rapes, I'll bring out documentation. When I say there's showers, I'll bring out documentation. Even when the department doesn't admit it, now they are admitting that I have documentation to show that happening. The lawsuit kind of verifies that as well, Bob. They're getting sued. When we say we're winning cases after cases, when we say they're appealing the cases, when the news even picks up on it and the news is reporting it, but Scott doesn't want to let the membership know that. Guess what, Scott? If you got something, let's see it. And again, how about if you do see it, giving us an opportunity to fix anything that's wrong? If there's something wrong, Bob, you want to fix whatever's wrong?
Yes, sir.
Do you think Cecil Dooley wants to fix what's wrong? Jason Lemons, are these guys that's got some kind of animosity towards DOC? Jason Lemons loves DOC. Dooley loves DOC. I love DOC. You poured your heart out and worked for DOC. Guess what? We're not here to see DOC harmed. We're here. Guess what, Bob? I'm here because I had a mission pounded in my head. Now, Harp has changed that mission. Boy, it makes me angry. But here's the mission. Protect the public, protect the employee, and protect the inmate. I can tell you that right now, Harp is failing on every one of those. He is failing massively on that mission. And his mission to change, we're going to make change. Well, boy, he's making some change, but it ain't no good. I can guarantee you that.
Well, this walking out the warden, deputy warden, is shocking with her expertise with DOC.
Well, Bob, and again, I've for the last couple of weeks, I've given 10-day windows a couple of times to the media. Here's what's happening 10-day window. Here's what's happening 10-day window. Here's what's happening in a 5-day window. The reason I'm doing that is, and I've used this word for a lot of people, escalation. One thing happening, it happened once a month. Okay. Happens once a week. Okay. Now it's happening twice a week, 3 times a week. Okay. It's called escalation. And guess what? It doesn't end well. You got to stop the bleeding.
Well, okay, JJ, I'm going to ask you this question. What is it when you get about 4 or 5 officers that get together and go into the cell of the inmate and beat the holy crap out of him? So what do you call that? Is that escalation?
Well, Bob, what I call that is when your leadership, there's a culture, and your leadership controls that culture. And when you see the culture of the prison, it always is a reflection of leadership, because they are either getting on top of this or not. When I see rapes going on that they cover up, that's the problem, because now rapes will continue. Until you address that, rapes will continue. So here's the thing. When you see that kind of behavior, because, and I do want to say this, Bob, we have got some great officers. If it wasn't for you great officers and employees, not just officers, employees, all you employees are the reason that we have not had a riot, that we haven't had more incidents. Y'all are great. Y'all are understaffed. We realize you're doing a great job. But there are some out there that have a very, very poor attitude. We had a person come recently. That person resigned because they just said, hey, can't take it anymore. I'm not going to be a part of this. They actually watched 4 or 5 officers beat the hell out of a person, pick them up and beat them some more. That's what they report. I have that already with an attorney. I'm also going forward with that with the FBI. Now, whether they will, I'm also going forward with that with the AG.
You know, I'm going to stop you a second, JJ. Another problem we have is we get inmates in, they don't give them the shower, their toiletries, mattress.
Bob, I got
and it's a shortage everywhere. And how long can this go on? I mean, how hard is it to get the right product in
Bob,
there?
I was told. Now, here's what's funny, Bob. If you're listening to what's happening in the Department of Corrections, I got a call the other day. Hey, they're working around the clock at Lawton to clean this whole place up. Okay, I got a report. Mabel Bassett, the women are mad because they're making them paint over black mold. I'm like, do you not scrape it off first? Do you not wash it with bleach? No, we're just painting kilts over it. Well, when you hear that, now we don't know that's true. That's what I'm getting multiple reports on. But here's the deal. They're cleaning house because I figure they're getting looked at pretty hard. that means that we're having some effect. But they're cleaning house, but you're painting over the mold. It just bleed right back through it. That's a waste of time. You need to do it right. But at the end of the day, Bob, if you're not giving mattresses, we got reports that they're not giving mattresses when people come in, toothbrush, toilet paper, that it may take a week in places to get that. You know, your bed bugs, your mice. I've got a report on another prison where mice are in there. And again, these reports, when I say I got a report, I got that one from the health department. I didn't. And here's what's funny. I called the health department and they send it to DOC first. I'm like, you know, I didn't ask you to send that to DOC. I asked it for me. And we kind of had a little conversation on there because all these state agencies are trying to take care of each other and they don't answer to us as it should be, to the elected people. And they're just saying, I don't have to answer. Harp is so arrogant in that I don't have to answer to you. I can give myself a raise. By the way, Director Harp, if you take money without authorization, it is embezzlement. And I am the guy that will write up a probable cause and ask the AG to arrest you. I'm asking for, I want to see who authorized you to get that $90,000, because you can't transfer it. I've looked it up. There is no law allowing you to transfer it from one place to the other. You have to have that authorized either by the board, by the legislators, or by the governor. And again, I've asked you repeatedly to produce the document showing you are authorized to get $90,000. I've not seen it. It might be out there. If it is, please send it to me. Otherwise, I'm going to do a probable cause and say, look, if he can't even provide a document that's a reasonable request, I'm being very polite, I'm being very nice, please send that to me. Please send that to me so that we don't have to pursue this issue any longer. Otherwise, you've stolen about $135,000. Now, that's pretty simple. If you didn't have approval to get it, then you shouldn't take it, and you don't, you know, you need to either pay it back or be charged, one or the two. You're no better than anybody else. If one of your employees took $135,000 without authorization, guess what? You're going to fire them, and you're probably going to pursue criminal charges on them. That's what's going to happen. So that's where I'm going, is to say, we're going to hold you responsible. If you will, please send that to me and we can move on to some other issues. You know, Bob, it's time. It's time these people are held accountable. Running people off and just appealing it and firing people with no reason. You know, the cleanliness issues, all the problems that we're seeing. I mean, it's just no excuse for it. But I think, Bob, we have to report it. And again, the membership, that's the bottom line. Let's let the members decide. Do they want somebody to fight for them? Do they want somebody to call this stuff out? Or do they think that, we're better off if we just let Harp run the show and we just do away with OCP? We don't need an association. We don't need a membership. We don't need anything to hold him accountable.
Well, you know, you're right. It comes to the point where if you think you're better off, run it, but listen to Harp doing what he says 100%. Says jump, you better jump. You're an employee and you have no rights if you want to accept that. But you know, when you talk about you have no rights, that's just turning the Constitution crazy.
Bob, I'm going to tell you something. You don't lose your rights because you go to work for the Department of Corrections. And I will tell you something else, though. You know how that they get away with what they get away with is because the membership doesn't come together. It's because the employees, listen to me, employees, if you want a strong voice, join OCP. Scott Everson's gone. We want a strong board. We want a transparent. Join OCP, but become active in OCP. Go to the meetings. We're going to try to make that where we can start doing it on Zoom, and so you don't have to travel, so you can be a part of that. man, but start taking the time to listen, get involved, make your voice heard. And again, it's through that strong membership that we will have control. And I can tell you, he has tried to kill OCP. Why? Because he knows it's effective. Why has he come after us like he has? Because he knows that we're having an effect on him. And I will guarantee you, everywhere I go, Bob, let me ask you, you've been a representative who supported DOC, one of the only representatives. That's why me and you are close friends. We kind of joined together because we both love DOC and the employees and all that. Now, for all of these years, have you ever heard the public talking about DOC, talking about, hey, we need to take better care of our correctional officers. Hey, we need to take better care of the inmates. They should be treated that way. Thank you for what you're doing with the prisons. Have you ever heard that before?
No, in fact, you say that. I just heard the other day, a person said, I've been reading a lot about DOC, but said that even though those guys are incarcerated, they deserve to be treated decently. Well, Bob, just because you go to prison doesn't mean that what they're doing, they got the women, they turn them into hookers about what they're doing. And the men, they just turn them into fentanyl.
Well, Bob, I go all over the state. Now, I go all over the state talking and visiting with people. I get asked to go talk to places. We were up at Guthrie. You went with me the other night to Guthrie. I've been to Tulsa, Western Oklahoma. Bob,
speed it up because we got to go about 4 minutes.
Yeah, but Bob, I'll be somewhere and people all over the state will come by and go, give them hell, Humphrey. Give them hell, JJ. Stay on that prison deal. I had a guy at a barbecue place pull up. He drove up and them spinner wheels. He had a slamming little deal. Pulled up there and he goes, you a lawyer? And I said, worse, I'm a politician. And he goes, you're the guy on them prison deals, ain't you? And I said, yes, sir, that's me. He said, you keep giving them hell. You're on the right track. Sped off. I mean, Bob, that's happening to me all the time. Did you ever think people would be thanking you for what you're doing, trying to expose these prison deals? And these are not people who are inmates or people, inmate family. You kind of expect it from them. Although, man, the families are just super appreciative. And employees, Bob, I'm at a place the other day getting some coffee. One guy's walked in and we got to talking. A guy walked in, got talking and found out he was from prison. And the reason, he goes, I think I know you. And I said, well, I'm a representative. He goes, I knew that was you. And he starts telling me what's going on in prison. And he's thanking me for what we're doing. And again, that's what I get from employees. I don't get employees coming up and going, oh, you're an unprofessional, like Scott tells, or you're just lying on Harp. I don't get that. I don't get none of that. I never get that. And so again,
you know what? You don't have to lie on Harp.
No, you don't have to.
There's no reason to. It's
no, that you can't keep up with the stuff, Bob. You can't keep up with what's going on, and you know this. Our emails, our phones, our text messages. You can't keep up. I'm like, what happened over here? Because I can't keep up. But Bob, bottom line is, before we get off here, I want to encourage all the employees. Please get involved. Please join OCP. Let's get us a little nifty shirt like Bob. Bob, I want a nifty shirt like you got on today.
Well, you know what I'm saying? It's a nifty shirt, all right. I like it.
It is a nifty shirt. I like that shirt. You're looking sharp, Bob. But here's the thing. Let's get involved. If y'all want a more professional, then stand up and be professional. Take this organization. Let's make something out of it. Let's make legislators listen to us. We can become the most powerful organization in the state of Oklahoma. We have that kind of numbers. We have that potential. They're afraid of it. Guys, and together we stand strong. When it's just me and Bob, they're going to, and listen, Jason Lemons, one of the most professional people I've ever met with DOC. And when he come out and started supporting me and Bob, what do? They go after you. Well, you were scared to talk while you was there. No, he wasn't. He was talking, but the deal is He got out. He's standing up. He got on this board. He hasn't forgotten you. He is devoted to the employees. So guess what? He's on the board now. Could you ask for any better, more professional? They gave him award after award saying he was the best officer, best person. Now you have that. Let them argue that. This guy's professional. That's who's on there. Duly man professional. Duly, you won't find better. That's who we've got. And we've got a couple of other employees. So we got a couple of retirees so that the EOC can't run over them. And then we got 3 people. We're wanting to have an annual meeting here pretty quick so that the membership, all the membership, will Zoom so you don't have to drive. We'll get all that set up so that the membership can pick. Now, what's illegal about that? That's what this thing's supposed to be. Scott Everson never did any of that. We're barely on there right now, and we've already agreed to do all of that so that it can be 100% transparent, 100%. This is where this is going. This is what we're doing. This is the bills we're after. And again, we're going to call them out on. But Bob, have we called out good as bad? If they do something. I was on here bragging the other day about how they handle.
Hey, before we go, I'm going to talk about bragging. I got an inmate is incarcerated, and he's been in there now like 26 years. Got him for attempted murder. No, murder. He got life without parole. And you know what? DOC has been very cooperative with him in these different places where he's writing articles. He sends it to them. They give him a lot of things to help. And you know who the guy he said has done the best work for him to really appreciate? And I want to bring this up is Bear. He said that guy really went out of his way to help me. So they do some things trying to help this guy because they know this guy shouldn't be in prison.
You know what? Even a blind hole finds a nut once in a while, Bob. So, but give him credit. So. Hey, you know what? If Bear did something good, then I want to say kudos because that guy you're talking about, we've got him hopefully hooked up with the Innocent Project. There's some really great things. Bob, they've done some really good things with prison ministry before. Scott Crow, we argued with Scott a lot, and we had our good days. You had good days with him, bad days. I had good days.
We got to go, JJ.
Days. But
well, thank you guys. We'll be back. We'll be back next Friday, same time, same place. God bless.